Hey guys, it's Chris Fayte with Cheat the Game coming back at you. Today we're going to be taking a look again at Darksiders 3, and we are going to be doing a teleport hack. And I'm going in a specific order basically for this reason. There is a certain step progress to get to super jumps and fly hacks and things like that. So I want to make sure that the basics are done first while we climb that set of steps, because I want you to learn how to do this. You don't have to rely on me or other trainer makers to do this for you. This is what this channel is about, is you learn to do it yourself. And I'd just like to convey my thought process as I'm looking up these things, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and things like that. Now, I do have a teleport hack tutorial already on the channel. It's a good one. I did it on Metal Gear Solid 5, and I'll put that up for you in the upper right hand corner. And also a teleport to marker location. Teleport to marker locations are way better, because you can set your marker on a certain place on the map and teleport to it. Whereas in just a regular teleport hack, it actually just saves a spot that you are already at and that you can teleport back to later. So that's the difference. So we do like things like that. Also, I will leave the cheat table that I have for it, which I don't have much for it. I just have the infinite health, infinite wrath. Also, I do have the jump hack that you saw on the preview of Tut, as well as running speed. You can change your running speed, which also affects the jump hack as well. I'll leave that for you. However, once the game updates, these are probably not going to work for you. These are version specific. So that's why it's good to go learn these things to do them yourself. However, I will also link up here in the upper right hand corner my AOB tutorial on how to update array of bytes. That being said, what I want to do is go ahead and bring the game up, and the first thing we're going to do is find our coordinates, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the game. I'm going to go ahead and bring everything up, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I like to go ahead and set up my cheat table here, or cheat engine, and we're going to go ahead and look up our coordinates. So I went ahead and deleted those two. I didn't really delete them, they're still in my save file, but we're just going to look those up manually again. And what I do is I like putting them on rounded default. Leave simple values only unchecked, because sometimes even the high values that coordinates can be and extremely low values that they can be taken out as well, not considered a simple value. So make sure that you take that out. I like putting mine on readable and writable. And what we're going to do is we're going to go find a location that we can jump off of and keep jumping off of to find our up and down coordinate. Alright, so let's go ahead and do an unknown value search. That way it will locate every float value in the game, and that includes our coordinates. Let's go ahead and also turn infinite health and wrath lookup on, and I always recommend this, that you look at your addresses for your health. Usually your coordinates and everything about that character will roughly be within that same area of memory of let's see, what are the health. If you see 1C up here, usually that will be also with your coordinates, and your wrath will be 1C and all that, even though they're not located together in that same function. Let's try wrath right quick. Yeah, and see that how that's 1C also, but they're not really close. It's 1C9, this is 1C8. They're very far apart, but however, they're still at 1C. And so will your coordinates be, hopefully. So let's go ahead and go down, and we'll go ahead and decrease value. So right now we're assuming that our up and down coordinate is going higher as we go up and decreasing as we go down. Now it could be opposite, so keep that in mind also. So if we don't find it the first time, we'll have to try the opposite. And what I'm doing now is unchanged value. Okay, now we increase value. Now just unchanged. And this can get a little tedious, especially with that simple values only turned off. So basically I'm just rinse, washing, and repeating. So I'll probably go ahead and pause this so you don't have to keep watching me do this over and over again. Okay, we weeded them down to about 800, and we're going to keep doing it just to get them down a little bit farther. So I'll just let you see the end of it. So increase value, unchanged, unchanged. We still need to weed out a lot more if possible, but it may not be possible. So, but we're going to try in specific areas to kind of help us weed it down, just like I was talking about. So unchanged, unchanged. All right, that's good. About 526. That's a good enough amount. And basically, you see where I'm going to be trying first. I'm going to be trying in the 1C regions, okay? And hopefully we can find it that way. So, and this can get tedious also. So the first thing I want to do is, we do have this unscan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say bigger than, and I'm going to go for 8,000, because you see that is the majority of everything right now, and those are the ones I want to try. Those look more like coordinates, and if we don't find it, then we can just undo scan and get all this back again. So let's go bigger than 8,000. Actually, let's go 7,000 just to be on the safe side. So everything that's bigger than 7,000, next scan. That took us down to 359. Now do not do another scan, okay, because we need that to be active to go back to our previous scan. If not, we'll just have to start all over again. So this kind of weed them down, get rid of some of these miscellaneous nonsense values, and we can just start adding these to our cheat table. And you see there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot we got to look through. So what I'm going to do is start in the 1C regions. I'm just going to take just a few of them, add them to the current cheat table, go all the way down the list, and what I do is I'll try to look for my highest value, like 8,600, almost 8,700 there, and I don't see anything that's above that. And what I'll do is I'll pop that, and what I'll do is I'll make that right here 8,800. I just want to see if something affects her jump height. Whoa, take a look. So good. So we know that one of these is our correct internal. You see how it affected her? So we don't need to search anymore. We just need the process of elimination. So that's good. So what I want to do now is I'm going to start from the bottom. And you have to forgive me on this. Usually it don't matter where I pick. If I start from the bottom and go to the top, it'll be the very top one. If I start from the top and go to the bottom, it'll be the very bottom one. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to deal with my bad luck in that regard. So I'm just going to start undoing these one at a time. And just by taking the X out by mashing the space button. And when she stops, that'll be the one area we need to look at. So we'll delete that record. It can't be none of those because she's still in the air. Take these out. Take that. She's still bouncing around. I told you it'll be up towards the top, no matter where I pick. Alright, we'll take those out. And boom, she fell to the ground. So we know in this highlighted blue area is our internal code. So we know these top ones, from where that X is not. So we can get rid of those. Alright, so we know that throughout here is our internal address. So we just continue on the process of elimination. We do about half of them, and we're going to make that go to 8,600. And so we know, we see it does affect her, so we know it can't be these bottom two. Real easy what we're doing here. And we can just do two at a time. And she fell back down, so we know it's one of those two. So now we just see which one it could possibly be. Let's start with the top one. We'll put that back at 8,600. So we know it's definitely the bottom one. So we have found our internal up and down coordinate. Now we don't know if that's a Y or Z yet, but just to test it, just to make sure, let's go ahead and put it back, and boom, And we found her. First thing you want to do, put the debugger on it. Find out what accesses the address. Grab that information. Just in case of a crash or something, so you ain't got to do all that over again. And I want you to take a look. I've got the game alt-tabbed out. It's still being accessed. And these are the areas you want to try to put your teleport in that are constantly being accessed. All the time. Not that only does it when you jump or it's just being calculated, but constantly being accessed. And we want to find an area that is constantly being accessed where we don't have to do a lot of comparing out. And those are the best places. So the first thing we want to do is go on to that address and see if we can do an injection copy on all 3 coordinates. You'll notice that always, just about every single game, your coordinates are always going to be together. They may be a little further apart at different offsets, but usually they're all together. And it's no different with this game. What we're going to do is browse this memory region with that address, and it's going to carry us to this location in the memory dump. And it carries us to that address right here. It's in its byte hex form, so let's change the display type to its float. And here is our coordinate. We see that there aren't coordinates beside it, so let's go up and boom, we see here are our other 2 coordinates right here. So we see now that our up and down is on the Z coordinate, and our X and Y are our left, right, north, south, east, and west. So we know here that this is the up and down coordinate. So that's good information to know also. So what I want to do is I want to go to each one of these and find where just our coordinates are going through it. Hopefully nothing else is going through that opcode. If so, we're going to try another one. So let's do that. And what we do is find out the addresses that this instruction accesses. So far, just ours are. So that may be a good one. And as soon as we come back to the game, you see there's a bunch of things going through it. Let's not worry with that one. We don't want to have to compare out if we don't need to. So let's try the top one instead. Let's go to it, find out what addresses this instruction accesses. Only one's going through it. And continuously one is only going through it. But, you know, I've already killed all the enemies on this level, so we still need to test it. Okay, so I went ahead and started a brand new game, and let's attach Cheat Engine back to that game. And yeah, go ahead and turn those off. Let's go ahead and turn those back on, and I'll show you. Okay, now you see the addresses have changed. It starts with 1A now, not 1C. So these are no longer any good, but we don't have to go back and value scan for them. This value scan process is probably the hardest thing of the entire hack. Once you find that value, it's easy sailing from then on out. That's the hardest thing to do, is just finding a value you can use to get whatever cheat you're looking for. We're going to go back to this location in memory, showing dissembler. It will still be the same because it is static, and you see it takes us right to it. And we just want to make sure that enemies are not going through that opcode or anything else. That only our coordinates are going through it. That'd be the most ideal place. Alright, so let's go to it. And we do have enemies, as you can see, and they are not going through that opcode. That's just us. And that is not our up and down coordinates, so that means that all of our values are going through that one opcode. And I can show you XMM1. Now I'll get into XMM registries later. I know I've been promising that for a while. I just need to do a little more study on it before I present it. But as you can see, XMM1 is being written to right here, and you can see it's actually writing all of our coordinate values. And what XMM registries can do, they're so huge, they can actually store up to 4 different address values. And that's what it's doing with that APS. That's how it stores all those values. It has one value and it's storing everything next to them. Okay, so up to the 4 values next to them. But we'll get into that more later. There's some cool things you can do with the different commands you can do with XMM registries, but we'll study that later. Right now, we know that all our coordinate values are going through that one opcode. And our first value, it starts at 190, which will be our X coordinate. Our 94 will be our Y coordinate. 98 will be our Z coordinate, which is our up and down. Knowing that bit of information, we can go ahead and begin our script. The first thing I want to do is make an injection copy out of it. So we're going to put in coord 1, which is the name of this script, and this location, what it's actually doing. Just for my information, it will seek out a good unique array of bytes for us. Now, if the game updates, you may have to make this more unique, so it's always good to save your original code information in case you need to update AOBs later, because these could change, the offsets could change, you don't know in an update. Okay, so keep that in mind. So let's just make sure that we save that bit of information right now to the current cheat table, and let's just bring it up again via the cheat table. And we're just going to call this coordinates lookup, because that's what it's going to do. So the first thing we need to do is I just do my standard. Now you can do a global allocate and do all that. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to put a label, and I'm just going to put coord just for coordinates. And then we need to register a symbol, because we are using that name outside of the script. Once we get set up, we'll be good to go. And then down here we'll put unregister, that same symbol. And just down here somewhere I'm going to put coord, the name, and I'm going to put it as DQ0. That's declare a quad word, because as you can see, these addresses can be higher than 4 bytes or 4 bytes apart. So that's always best to eliminate any lookup problems that it may have. Okay, let's bring it back up. And so, since we know that we are the only ones going through that opcode, no other characters or NPCs or items are going through that coordinate value, we know that we don't need to compare out. So all we really need to do is move into that symbol our base address of RAX. We just need to keep in mind that X is at the offset of 190. So the base address will go into coord, and then we can have it look up our coordinates for us. So let's go ahead and turn that on. What we're going to do up here, X coordinate, and we're going to put that on float, and it's going to be that symbol name plus 190. Boom, there's our X coordinate. And we're going to do one for Y and Z. So just copy and then Control V, paste it again. And all we need to do is change that to Y coordinate, and that'll be at 194. And then our Z coordinate, let's double click on that, and that'll be at 198, 4 bytes apart. That'll be our Z coordinate. So we now have all our coordinates, and this is just for our information and to look up other attributes later. You don't necessarily have to keep these, but you know, this helps us locate these addresses again if we need to, without, you know, having to put a debugger on the opcode and all that stuff. We can just go directly to our address if we need to look them up again later, because these addresses will constantly keep changing throughout the game. So we can go directly in and start doing a teleport hack, and we definitely just want to do it where our injection copy is. So let's just go ahead and start doing that. The first thing I want to do is allocate memory that I can have all my coordinate values. All these values right here, I want to be stored at a certain location that I can retrieve later. Okay, and we're going to do that. So the first thing I want to do is allocate memory, and I'm going to call that, just so I know what it is, store coord. Let's store the coordinates, and I'm going to allocate about 246 for it. That's more than enough. We're going to come down here. Now we need to put this above new mem, or we need to put it way down here, you know, not in new mem area, or it's going to separate new mem because it's going to be two different allocated memories. So we need it away from new mem. So we'll just put store coord above new mem, so it's not affecting, because we need code and this a part of new mem. That's actually in a new mem section. Okay, so if we put it below new mem, like down here, then code is going to be stored in the store coordinates section, and it's going to screw everything up, so don't do that. Alright, store coord, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. Okay, thank you for holding, guys. And I like keeping different segments separated, that way it makes it easier to edit. So if I screw something up, I can just go back and re-record it without having to go back and record the whole thing. It just makes life easier. So the first thing we need to do is get everything set up. The first thing we need to set up is our store coordinate location. Like I said, these are where we're going to store where we're standing at right now. We're going to store that information. We need to store it in a part of memory where we can retrieve it. So we need to have it set up. So we need 3 labels. We're going to say X position. Then I'm just going to copy that and paste it twice. We need a label for X position, Y position, and Z position. Now you can name these whatever you want. They're just a name. It don't matter. Okay? And we can have that in memory. And it's always good to go ahead and register a symbol for those as well. Being in the same script, you probably don't need to, but I do anyway, just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 2 more times and just change those accordingly. So now we do have labels for those. And we want to make sure that we unregister these symbols for it to turn off. And I'll put those down here and just stick un in front of all 3 of them. This just saves a little time and everything. So now we have info that we can use to capture that information and store it here, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put up here X position underneath our store coordinates. We're going to put DQ0 and then Y position, also DQ0, and then Z position, colon, DQ0. So now these are where each one of these are going to be stored, and it's going to recognize it by the name of the label that we had. So it knows exactly where to put our coordinates when we get to it. Now we also need a flag because we don't constantly need it saving and loading this information. We only need to do it when we hit like a hotkey button or something like that. So we need to add like a flag value, our own personal button. And what I'm going to be naming this one, what would be a good one? We'll name it save flag. There we go. I'll just name it save flag, and the first thing I want it to do when it jumps to new mem is we are going to compare that save flag value. Oops, I'm sorry. Save flag. We want to have it compared to 1. Now we want to register a symbol for this because we are going to be using that definitely outside of the script. So this is a must. Anything you're going to know that you're going to use outside of the script, you need to register a symbol for. Alright, let's unregister it. Okay, so now it's going to compare that one to our save flag, and I'm going to store that save flag also under store coordinates. I'm going to put save flag up here, and when it's first turned on, it's just going to be, I'm just going to say that for declare D word because that's just our flag value. And I'm going to save that as 0. I'm sorry, 0. So automatically it's turned off. It will not activate any save information until we turn it on, which we turn it on with the value of 1. Okay, so jump if not equal to code. So that means if it's not 0, just go ahead and jump to code and ignore anything else I put under new mem. Just go ahead and jump to code. Alright, so down here I'm going to go ahead and put our save information. Now we do need to have that save labeled as well. Any new section you make, you need to have a label for it. So save. And this will be where we're saving our coordinates. You can actually put save coordinates if you want, but I'm just using it to save. First thing we need to do in the save is move back into that save flag or save coordinate flag. Oh, I did that wrong. Save coordinate. I don't know why I put save coordinate. I'm glad I saw that. That's save flag. I hope I didn't confuse anybody with that. Save flag. Okay, save flag is that. So first thing we want to do into that save flag value, don't have a clue why I put it that way, but is on the move a 0 right back into it, because as you see, it's constantly reading this, and that's doing it a few hundred times a second. So we need to have it turned off where it only does it once. So move that 0 right back into it, and it'll only save it one time. Now we need to go back to our memory view, or we can look at this information. And I just like using a registry that isn't currently being utilized. Never use BP registry or an SP registry. That's our base pointer and stack pointer registries. Never use those to borrow. But we can use other general purpose registers to, you know, quickly use what we need it for and give it back to the system. And I see here that RBX isn't being used, so that looks like a good one we can borrow. So we're going to borrow a registry by pushing, I can't believe I typed that out, pushing RBX. So we put push RBX, and we're going to use that to store our coordinate information. So the first thing I want to store is our X coordinate. So we're going to move into RBX our X coordinate. That is where our current coordinate that we're standing at right now, that's where we're at. It's going to move that into RBX. And we need RBX to move that into our X position. You see how that makes sense now? So it's going to move that X coordinate into X position, which is located here. So now it's no longer going to be 0. It's going to be our whatever our X coordinate is at that time. And we need to do that with all 3 coordinates. So I'm just going to copy and paste that 2 times and change everything accordingly according to its label and its offset. So we know that the Y coordinate is at 194, so we change it to that. The Z coordinate is at 198, so we change them to that. See? And right underneath here we want to put jump code, because we're going to put other things under here, and right under here we need to put jump code anyways for anything that goes past here. So there'll be a reason for that later. And what we should change that to is change that to 1 jump if equal to save. So that way it's still always jumping to code unless that's a 1. So we just changed that to jump if equal to save. When that's a 1, jump if equal to save. If not, it's just going to jump to code. That's why we put that there. So that's the way I should have done it, and I'm sorry that I didn't. So there we go. So for right now, we do have our save information location. Now we need a load information, and this is when we walk somewhere else. We come over here and we walk, say we walk somewhere else, and we need to go back to that X position. It will load what we just previously saved right here back to our coordinate base, which these are always going to be our currents. These are our stored right here. These are our stored locations. These are our current locations. So we need what is stored return back to current. So we do the exact same thing, it's just the opposite, and I'll show you. So we're going to make another label and call it load. Damn it. Label load, Chris. And we also need to make a load flag. And we're just going to call it load flag. First thing we need to do, go ahead and register those as symbols. load, and register symbol, load flag. I can't type. Alright, now we can just unregister those and we can continue on. And we're about done with the script. Doing a teleport script is probably one of the longest scripts you'll do. They're the most tedious, and that's why I like getting it out of the way if I'm doing a teleport hack. But it's not really hard. There's nothing hard about it. So far, you should understand everything that's going on in this script if you've been following me for a while, especially. Oh, and just noticed I had a problem there. That would have been a major screw up. So make sure any typos you have, make sure that you're really checking your work behind yourself. I am so bad about not doing that. So next thing we need it to compare our load flag. This is when we mash the load button. We want it to teleport us back to where we previously was that we saved at. So load flag, we only want it to activate when it is a 1. And it's going to start out as 0 because we're going to put it up here starting out as 0. Okay, and if it equals 1, jump it equal to load. And if neither one of these are equal, it'll automatically jump to code. So we do the same thing we did here, just in reverse, and I'll show you. So right down here we put load. First thing we want to do is move back into our load flag to 0, so it's not constantly teleporting us. And we're going to do the same thing. Right here we should always pop RBX. I forgot to do that. That would have been a major screw up and crashed our game. Anytime you push, you need to pop. That just puts the value that we previously stored on the stat back into that registry so the game can utilize it. So after we do that, we want to push RBX again, and we need RBX to retrieve our stored information in X, Y, and Z position. So we're going to have X position, load the value we stored into it back into RBX. Then we need, oh Chris, I am having a horrible day today. There, move X position back into RBX. Now we need RBX to move that stored information back into our current coordinates. Okay, so move back to our current coordinates, RBX. It's just as simple as that. So we're just how we had it load the first time into our X position. Now in load, we're retrieving that and loading it back into our current. So no matter where we walk on the screen, that information will be available. Now in essence teleport us back to where we saved. And we just need to do that 2 more times. So we just copy that, paste, and paste, and change each one accordingly. The next one down is our Y position. Need to be saved to our Y coordinate, which is 4. Our Z position, which will be at 198. We need to pop RBX and jump code. Now I know it will continue on to code, but in case we want to put some more things down here later, we've already provisioned for that. So jump code, and that looks pretty good. Hopefully that will be all we need to do. And now we just need to go make a save and load flag. Alright, so make sure load, save. I think that is everything. I think that's all we need. So let's click OK and check line 47. This will help us with, let's put a colon in there. Like I say, it's easy to make. One little typo can screw up the whole thing, so make sure that you look for any typos, and it'll help you find it when you go to mash OK. Once it does that, you're pretty good to go. So let's go ahead and turn that on. Pray nothing crashes. I'm just going to go back to the beginning setup here, and we see these are our coordinates. Use the address instead You can really use either one, but no, I don't want to confuse anybody. So let's just do it here. Save flag. You don't have to put the, sorry, just save flag, because it'll be 0. And this will be save location. This is just for generic people that are playing your trainer or whatever. So when they hit this hotkey, it'll save their location. So let's set a hotkey to it and create a hotkey. And right now I'm just going to say, let's say number 8 on the keypad. That we will set the value to 1. And it will make an activation sound here, and the script itself will change it back to 0. Set value to 1. Hopefully that worked. We'll just have to troubleshoot it in a minute, but let's go ahead and put our load flag in there as well. Teleport to save. Alright, and we want to put a hotkey on that as well. Create a hotkey, and we'll say number 9 for that, and set value to 1. Hopefully this works. Let's just make sure. Set value to 1, that's good. Alright, so let's go back to the game. Our teleport script is on. So let's see what happens. Let's put 8. And now we're going to come over here and let's mash 9. And we teleport back, so that is working. So as you can see, when we can go anywhere. Let's jump up here, and let's say I wanted to save here. Mash 8. You see how that turned to 1 and back to 0? Now I can go anywhere. He's coming to get me. Boom. I teleported back. And we can screw with him for a little bit. Boom. And you can see we can set different. So that is a quick teleport. Now I don't want this to be too long. I know that this is in depth and I kind of breezed over it, but like I say, I've already been over this step by step. This is the exact same stuff. These techniques do work for any game, okay? But sometimes seeing it over and over again helps get refreshed in your mind. You want to try to do these things, and it's really good for learning. So finish rendering this bit. I will go ahead and start working on the locate character physics, but I will make my table available for you that already has it on there. If you just have the first version without an update, it will work for you. I know that there's a glitch in the game. They should be fixing that glitch, but you can possibly also use your coordinates for that glitch. Let me show you that, by the way. Let me get rid of this guy. There we go. Oh, mashing the wrong button. Alright, and say that in the game, now there are other factors that cause the map to load, but you see I can't go beyond this car. So what I do is I kind of look at my X and my Y, my north and south, and see what they're changing to. And what I do is I get the angle of the direction of the car, and I'll go, first of all, I'll freeze my X coordinate and see if it'll let me go beyond that, so I know the X coordinate will help me with this. And say I need to get through this wall right here or something like that. Now, a few games it won't allow you to do this, but most games it will. You can actually teleport yourself through a collision field, and that's what we're going to do. So take a look, and take a look at our X value. From the length of the car, or about a car length, we say 2800 to the car is 25. So we know going in this direction it's decreasing or increasing the value. It's going from a lower negative to a higher negative. So if say I wanted to get through this car, I would put this, and you probably have to test this out a little bit. Let's say 2300. Click OK and take a look. Well, we're kind of inside the car, so let's put it at 2200. Boom. And take a look. We're now on the other side of the car. So when I come back to here, I know that we're pretty safe at negative 2200. So I need to get through that car, but there's a big wall here. It's not letting me by, or something's glitched, a big rock that you can't get by. Just kind of guesstimate the distance that you need to go and take a look. You just teleported yourself through there. So that does work. So that can help you get past that glitch area. I don't know if it worked. I hadn't really got to that part. I don't know if it'll trigger the flag to load up the new map or the new level or not, but it is worth a shot if you want to give it a try. Also, that jump hack that I'll come out with on the very next lesson, should be out this weekend, will also help you with that as well. So hopefully they get that updated anyway. But I want to go ahead and thank my donators and partners. Thank you guys so much for continuing to stick with me through this crisis we had with the channel being banned. We do have it back on thanks to the hard work of people like Steven Chapman, Live Overflow, Jason Blount. I thank you guys so much. All my Patreon partners, thank you for sticking by my side. And all you subscribers, I thank you for sticking by my side and not giving up on me. It's because of you this exists, and hopefully we can stay here for a very long time. I will be uploading these to CocoScope as well, just to be on the safe side, so this doesn't happen again. That way you guys got a place to go to, because I'm never going to abandon you. Thank you for not abandoning me. If this helped you, please place a like on it. Help us get back into the rating systems, and we are going to continue with Darksiders story, and we're going to just hack the hell out of it and have fun with it. But until then, I'll go ahead and get started on the next video, so I can get that up to you guys pretty quick this week, so you can have it all. Also, it kind of correlates with the coordinates, so we'll keep on going with that and get y'all some really cool cheats. All right, so you guys take care, keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas, because believe me, it doesn't mind cheating you. You all take care now.